Tonight's Shapeshifter, James Robertson. Who's James Robertson? Well, he is one of the co-founders of a business called Big Blue, and it's quirky. It is unconventional as a retailer with its roots in flea markets. And now you've got how many outlets?
Bruce Heights, it's at the moment it's 22.
22 outlets from a flea market. What was the first flea market?
It was the old Joburg flea market.
Which was where?
Outside the Market Theatre.
That's a long time ago.
It doesn't exist anymore, but yes, that was the first.
But that's a quarter of a century ago. I mean, then you're older than democracy.
We grew up at last, yes.
but what was the idea originally? Did you envisage a network of 22 stores selling quirky merchandise as a quarter of a century ago?
No, I think at the time there was me and my business partner. We both worked for multinationals, and we just weren't corporate animals. So it was a way of becoming independent, I think. And
did you quit your jobs and then go to the flea market, or did you have a strategy?
We had very nice bosses at the multinational, and their philosophy was whatever you did on weekends was your business, and so we worked. I think my partner Philip, he moonlighted for about 10 or 12 years, and for me it was about 7 years.
And that's a slow start. I mean, it's a conservative start.
Yeah, we didn't grow up with silver spoons in our mouth. We had no money, and we basically had to hustle our way into to build the turnover, and also massage the product mix. So we actually traded independently next to each other on the flea markets, and then when the first real store came about, we merged the two.
So what were you selling, and what was Philip Crenier selling? I
was selling products that were made in the then vendor by sort of employment creation industries, and because I had less money, I was selling sort of on the cheaper end of that category, and Philip was he actually initially made things and then subsequently worked out that we both actually quite useless at making things, so we started buying things to resell, and it was at the time of sanctions, and people were you weren't able to buy fabric and so on, so there was a lot of quite creative innovation in the clothing business at that time. There were a lot of very talented graphics people and a lot of over-dyeing, and so you could use the local made fabric, but you would have to then manipulate it and strip it and print it and do all sorts of things to make it quirky and interesting, and to localize it to sort of the South African sensibilities.
So many businesses start in flea markets, Banditos.
Yes, but no, we call them pop-up shops now because that's much so more cool. Yes, much nicer.
Shops. So pop-up shops in an informal area, previously known as a market. Yeah. But so you were doing pop-up shops before pop-up shops were cool. But you must have learned some really important lessons. I mean, from everything to do with merchandising to cash flows. Yes. I mean, the basics of business. You wouldn't have done the MBA.
No, I think the sort of day one at economics tell you do what your customer wants, and it's such a valuable thing when the person is standing in front of you and saying this doesn't fit, or this is ugly, or the fabric's wrong, or too big, or too small, or whatever. So it was such a valuable learning curve. And I mean, if you study cash flow, I always say you can't study it, and you have to feel it. You have to actually stress it. You have to know, hang on, I've got a bill to pay, and there's no money coming in, and what have you. So it was an absolutely brilliant grounding. And now, to this day, when if there were two people, pitching to sell product to us, we would probably favor the one that has actually pounded the streets and done the hard slog and stood in front of a customer and learned.
Taken the abuse.
South Africans are brutal. We're quite honest. We say what we think, particularly in Johannesburg.
No, exactly. So you then were on the market for between you nearly 2 decades. What was the catalyst then for the first shop? Where was that first shop?
It seemed a natural progression, and The first shop was actually there was a tiny little arcade in the Market Theatre Arcade, and it was a big step. We were both young and naive and didn't know what we were doing. The first real shop was it was then called Verwoerdburgstad. It's now Centurion.
Oh, right.
And funny enough, we closed it after a while, and funny enough, we opened one in Centurion just late last year again, so it's almost 30 years later.
It's about timing as well. I mean, society evolves, and I mean, your brand is challenging. Big Blue is challenging in a way. It's retro, and it's all warm and fuzzy and creates happy memories of lion matches and Glenrake pilchards and all of that sort of stuff. But you got some pretty provocative stuff too.
I think that came from initially when we went into a real grown-up shopping centre. We felt we were now competing with, at that time it was Truworths and Woolworths and Edgars and what have you, and you had to carve out your own niche, and you had to punch through a real personality. So we were consciously quite provocative, and we've been provocative where it really doesn't work. And the best space for us is where it's humorous and there's some warmth in it. Some people, especially at the moment in South Africa, people are taking a lot of offence very quickly and very easily, and more recently there's a lot of kind of outrage that happens on Twitter and that kind of thing. So we have found we've had to, as we got bigger, the kickback comes so much faster that we've had to rethink and double think and research and really be much more careful about offending people.
But that comes again with experience, and it comes from the market experience of sitting opposite your customer. And the last thing any business wants to do is offend their customers. And if their customers are saying, "I find your T-shirt, I don't know, Black Chicks Rock," or Black Girls Rock, I think is one of the T-shirts that you've got, and I saw a middle-aged man in Verwoerdburgstad wearing it, and he wasn't wearing it ironically.
And I want him to be the copywriter.
Nobody wants to offend their customers.
No, and we did find out that the hard way. There's certain areas, religion, race, you just stay away from that. It's just not worth the kickback.
The secret then is warmth.
Yes, and I think we do a lot of work. We're talking a lot about T-shirts. Actually, a relatively small part of our business. The bulk of the business is on ladies' fashion. But the graphic T-shirts, there's a lot of brand iconography.
Zambuk.
Yeah.
You guys love Zambuk.
I love Zambuk. I think it's lovely. And Zambuk loves us, fortunately.
But what is the deal then with carrying branded stuff? Because there's the parody stuff, so the Justin Nurse type T-shirts, which was black label, white gilts with using the black label logo. Yeah. SAB got terribly sense of humor failure about that
was
stuff.
Standard, and it was one of the banks as well.
Yeah. I mean, and the banks got terribly offended, and it's people need to get a sense of humor.
That was a bit naughty and opportunistic probably, and that was almost the first time we were playing around with brands. And then there was a bit of a dichotomy in the marketing world. A lot of the product manager and brand manager would come to us and say, "Will you please do us?" But then, can we have a say in it? And those are things like Marmite and Zambuk and those kind of brands. They heritage brands. They really, I think, because the icons of South Africa can be divisive, like the Voortrekker Monument and the those sort of things that they're not pleasing everybody. So we were then found that the icons that are all inclusive and that really it resonated with people across all ages and color and what have you were the brands. Unlike perhaps an Uncle Sam in America or an Apple Pie in America, where it is more across the whole population.
But then you take the mickey out of Omar Rusks, and there's a fabulous, you got Omar Gravenstein missing her front teeth with Yomar.
Yes.
I mean, it's a play on the brand.
Yes.
Does that
was at that time, we were stocking them, and we kind of heard via the grapevine that Omar were quite amused, and they didn't make a stink about it. But there were the couple of brands that famously Justin Nurse went to the Constitutional Court over them. But they were the parodies. We don't do it so much anymore because I think the joke wore a little bit thin.
No, it does. Look, I mean, it's clever for a while. One of my favorite ones is still IR wearing a jean pant with an arrow pointing down.
That was a competition winner. We had we ran a T-shirt design competition, and I was so impressed. We had over 1,000 entries, and an entry means you had to generate a design.
Okay.
It's not just sending an SMS. So that was one of the competition winners from our T-shirt design.
Having a fabulous discussion this evening. You may want to join it. It'd be lovely if you did, with James Robertson, one of the co-founders of what is really one of the country's largest retailers of T-shirts. They started in the Joburg Flea Market as the original pop-up store, but today Big Blue's got 22 physical outlets. They've also got a big presence online. I love the Kitchen Cool brand. Has that got anything to do with you?
Yes, we opened it when South Africa was pretty much in the same place as it is now. People were very grumpy and very poor, and the rand went to hell. And we thought we would just try to do some more optimistic thing, and it was a diversification thought process as well. And something about that brand name just resonated with the press, and it took off very quickly, very well.
But now you've merged the two concepts,
Yes.
because I mean, Big Blue is cool, it's retro, but it's also kitsch, and kitsch can be cool, and kitsch is cool, and some kitsch is cool, and some cool is kitsch. So you've merged the concepts again.
Yes, we piloted it in a store, and then that worked very well, and then we merged them in one of the biggest stores in Rosebank, and that worked very well, and we've subsequently cookie cutted the kind of, it has a very sort of maverick nature, and it really doesn't look like it should work, because we sell the bulk of our turnover is in ladies' high fashion, but it somehow works, and it's a good thing we weren't trained in formal retail, because otherwise we would have never done that.
No, but people say that you break the retail rules, and I don't know what the retail rules are, but you do tend to turn what is perceived to be common sense in retail on its head.
Yes, we always invested a lot in very sophisticated information systems, and what that has done, I think it's paid off now, whereas it tells us very quickly, is this working or not? And we still do that. So we still spend quite a lot of money, and we watch new product, new categories very closely to see, is it, I mean, we sell really, really nice ladies wear next to Borat mankinis and books that are really
Does anybody
disgusting.
Does anybody buy the Borat mankinis?
I'm going to buy new shoes one day out of Borat mankinis. No, we actually sell a lot of them, because every batch who gets married has to be seen in a Borat mankini.
Nobody has to be seen in a Borat mankini, not even Borat. No, I mean, if there's ever a grotesque...
Oh God, there's probably a video somewhere.
No, I mean, there's one insult to anybody's sensibilities. It's got to be the Borat mankini. It's very funny, but nobody should be seen wearing one.
Well, the variation is the Santa kini. We sell it at Christmas. It's red with white fur trim.
No, come on. But you get away with it. And people buy that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also a price point. So it's cheerful, it's gimmicky, and if you want to get somebody a gift, you don't want to spend $500, but there's $200. There's a Santa mankini. There's a joke.
The initial thought process was, because we work so closely with really good South African designers, that we would have design-led gifts. But of course, design-led gifts are, nobody pays 5,000 rand for a pepper grinder, so it went there. So we work with design-led gift brands, but they're very, the price points, as you say, are much, much lower.
How much of what you sell is local?
All the garments, with the one exception of proper technical knits, like jerseys, because there's no machinery left in the country. But all of our garments are locally produced. 99% of it is local fabric.
And the gadgets and the gizmos and the little Mr. Men that hold up the bookends and the door stops and all of that sort of stuff.
There we would like to have a bigger local content, but probably the bulk of that is imported.
How do people, if they want to supply to you, how do they get your attention?
You just phone us up. No, we're very approachable. We just, I think it is harder for startup designers, because they're fighting against established brands. All the brands within Big Blue are Big Blue owned brands. So we're an anomaly in that we're a multi-brand store, but not really, because all the brands belong to us within the store. So we do it all the time. We actually scout a lot with the schools and the sort of various trade shows as well, because we're in the fashion business. There's always innovation, and we're always looking for that kind of fresh voice.
If you could do something different, Would there be something you would do differently over a 25-year sort of traverse through unconventional retail?
I'm not sure I would. I think it's been really fun. Every now and then I think I would really like to have a store that is, excuse my French, piss elegant and mirrored and chromed and beautiful and everything. But of course, the reality is people don't spend 20,000, 30,000 rand on a dress. I mean, the designers we work with can make these things. They can make the most beautiful garments, but it doesn't necessarily. My theory is, I last year did a course in Savannah ecology, and the definition of a niche.
Sorry, the course was?
In ecology, in Savannah ecology.
Savannah ecology, yes. Obviously, yes.
So, and they dared me to bring this up.
Okay.
But what they taught us is that if you occupy a niche, you have to be able to breed, which is the function of an organism. You have to replicate yourself, and if we, at the moment, the stores, it doesn't come across that way, but if you look at it, they are replicated. Every year we have a baby, and that baby is a baby of the previous store. So it changes very slowly, but we're able to replicate ourselves without borrowing money from a bank. And I think doing something differently is such a risk, because you don't know whether you're able to replicate yourself. You can build a beautiful, elegant store as an ego trip, but I don't think it necessarily is the right thing for us to do at my advanced age.
Jamie's not that advanced. James Robertson, co-founder of Big Blue. What a fabulous story, from the original pop-up concept in the markets of Johannesburg to 22 retail stores across the country.